Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 3 of Scary Money, where horror meets finance and scared money don't make money. Today, we do have a very special episode. I'm sure y'all are sick of seeing my face over thousands of videos, so we do have a special guest on today's episode. As you can see, no horror today. I'm not in my normal studio, so I can't make anything, but we have a treat for you because we do have a second perspective, if you will. And you know, when we have the lapel mic, it's going to be a good video. We do some of our best videos are on the go, on the road, so we'll see how this one goes. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking a little different here on this channel. We're gonna be doing I want to talk about adversity, right, and how to cope with it, you know, personal experience and how to deal with that. And then also potentially we're gonna be looking at some issues, particularly in well, you know, if I were to say it, you know, I might get unsubscribed, canceled, but we'll just say, for lack of a better term, the non-Caucasian community, and offering some perspective on that. But yes, we have my good friend here, Mr. Twan Gola Supreme. I'll link all of his stuff down below in the description. But this is episode number 3 of Scary Money. So without further ado, folks, let's get started and dive right in.
Okay, nice to meet you guys. My name is Twan. So I'm not really too familiar with like the direction you want to go, but we'll just wing it. So I grew up in basically the same place he did, and I will say that my experience with other Black Americans where I live, externally it was the same thing, but I guess like internally it was a little bit different, just because I feel like I operated my life a lot different and I navigated things a lot different. So I'm at a level where I have some level of like revelation in terms of money and everything like that, and I have a destination that I want to aspire to reach, and I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that I get there. You know, I'm not making any excuses or anything like that. I'm making sure that I'm working every single day. I haven't had like a day off. It's of my own volition. And I want to talk about some of the things that are obviously setting us back as Black people in the Americas. And it's not only externally, but it's also things that are happening within our own groups that are holding us back as well. So.
And if I may interject, just so you guys understand, you know, the average American does have massive amounts of debt. Mr. Twan here does not. So, you know, no matter where you guys are in life, you know, you may feel like you're not in the best place or position, but in many ways you're actually doing a lot better than you are. So I just want to preach that and really stress that. So Mr. Ford here, you know, is doing a lot better than a lot of people.
Yeah, so with me specifically, I was a full-time student for, you know, for a while, for a really long time. I was grinding countless hours, studying, doing my own little like personal, you know, education pursuit, like outside of the classroom. I would look at other instructors and things like that and try to learn things from them too, just so that I can get the best grade possible. And I was just devoting countless hours, and I would have probably been in debt if I didn't go that route, because I actually had financial assistance from the government, but it comes with a set of obligations that you must follow. You can't get a grade below a D. Otherwise, you will be on academic probation and you'll have to owe money. So either way it goes, even though it sounds like, oh, you're getting financial help, if you're not getting good grades, then it's basically for nothing because you'll still owe money.
Which is very common. I mean, as far as aid, you know, in a lot of states now, like New York and California, that are offering that assistance even to people that might be in a well-off situation. So, you know, it is a lot more commonplace anyways. And just because you do get financial help or aid does not necessarily mean that you're destined for success or that you're, you know, guaranteed to make a living and be in a better position than you started. So, you know, it's what you do with that and, you know, how you deal with the cards that you were dealt.
100%. You know, it's all about how that person is dealing with that, because you can have a person that is very ambitious and has a lot of tenacity, and they grow up in the wrong circumstances and they still try to find a way out just through sheer perseverance and, you know, just persistence, you know. And you might have some people that are born with everything and they waste those opportunities. So at the end of the day, for me, it was really just like from an individualistic standpoint. It was just I was determined, and I did everything that I could to get out of certain situations and to try to strive, getting my degree and making sure that, I was a straight A student. And if you work hard and you're focused and you're committed and everything like that, this can be something that's easily achievable in anything you do, whether it's real estate, whether you're, if you're a janitor, even, like, if that's your passion, if that's a career that you want to aspire to be, if you're devoted in it, and I believe hard work beats talent a lot of the times. Like, I see it. Another background I have is martial arts, and, talent goes to waste, and you need to learn things every day because knowledge is stronger than belief. Knowledge is more powerful than belief, and if you just sit around believing things are gonna just fall into place, things aren't gonna work that way. It's actually knowledge about things that'll help, boost your, intelligence, and boost your level of motivation, because you know certain things and you know how to apply that knowledge, and you know how to actually go out and do things. But if you don't know anything, you're gonna have a hard time even getting motivated, because you're gonna feel like an existential crisis, like what am I good at, what's my trade? So I feel like going out and learning things, finding what you're good at, and just pushing through it like that.
I did touch on that in the last episode about especially if you are young in your teenage years or high school, whatever situation that you're in, you probably are younger than you think, and that you could taste the buffet of life, and you may not know exactly what your passion is right now, but you could try 100 things and you might be better at one thing than another, and you could not necessarily have to find your passion through what you're interested in, but if you work at something hard enough, you could then become good at it, and that could then become your passion. So people kind of find that in different ways and different paths. We can't just give you one cut and dry answer of this is exactly how you find your passion, what you want to do, and then how you get good at it. That's a different journey for a lot of people. But I do want to talk about of course, a lot of it could be personal, but you have dealt with a lot of adversity in your life, a lot of roadblocks, definitely some obstacles, and specifically like how you overcome it and how you stay focused, and don't let that drag you behind and play the victim card, and really overcome all of those challenges. I think that would be valuable to our audience.
Yeah. So obviously, with me overcoming adversity, like I was saying before, it comes from a lot of knowledge. Like, my major when I was in school was psychology, and I was also learning about like many different types of intelligences, and this is actually what started to open my eyes to that dichotomy. Like, there's a variety of there's abundancy, there's many different things that you can go into, there's an amalgamation of different things that you can excel in. You have some people that are more they excel more in interpersonal intelligence, their communicative skills, and how they interact with people. You have artistic intelligence, musical intelligence, you have abstract thinking, critical thinking, you have financial intelligence, architectural intelligence, how good you are designing things. So there's many different things that you can go into and establish what you're good at. So for me, overcoming that adversity, I guess, was like establishing a sense of identity and establishing what I want to do, and just not accepting the situation I was in, because I'm not very religious, and I have respect for all religions, but for me, it was just when you have belief in yourself and you tell yourself I'm enough, I feel like that just for me is what helped me. You have other people that might go to many different deities and they get that strength from them, but as long as you're getting that strength from somewhere, you know what I mean, then I believe just that strength will lead to overcoming adversity, just that tenacity. So I also did get a lot of backlash for my aspirations. Like, first of all, the way I talk doesn't resonate with a lot of Black Americans that I grew up with, so that's one deviation that I have from them. And I've been called an Uncle Tom a lot for having aspirations, which is really silly, because you can't go down the street and not see something that a Black American in the past invented. Stoplights, if you wash your clothes, if you use a stove, like very simple things like that. So it's like we've always been innovators, just like white people have and just like Asian people have, but there seems to have been a decline, and I personally think it's just because of Black culture is not really it doesn't revolve necessarily around the pursuit of education that often, and if it does, we don't have a person that we can look at and say, oh, hey, he did it this way, let's do that. So even if you do have those people that say, go to school, do this, they're saying it, but we don't really have like that foundation to follow. I'm very fortunate in the sense where my family personally, we're very militaristic, they're somewhat patriotic, and they're very educated. So I'm somewhat fortunate to have that for myself, so I can see people and follow that. But for a lot of people, like in the black community, it's not like the Asian community. I don't know if I could be afforded to make a little joke here, but you guys ever heard that meme like, you doctor yet? No, mom, I'm 14. Tell me when you doctor. That's a real thing. Like every Asian friend that I've ever had, they tell me like, they emphasize education a lot. And in a way, they tell me they're somewhat robbed of their childhood. But if you're looking at it from purely on an education standpoint, yeah, they might not have like the happiest time, but still, like, they're still learning things. I believe you need that balance. It's obviously not good to be like the stereotypical black American household where there's just no education being promoted versus like the Asian where it's like too much. I believe you need to have a balance. I believe you need to have a recharge period where you do the things that you love, whether it's talking about horror or hanging out with your friends or doing whatever. But you also got to realize that there's a time to play and there's a time to focus on reality, and you gotta mix it up.
That was definitely super insightful. And so yeah, first I want to bounce off of that idea that a lot of people may not have a role model to look at. Personally, I'm an only child, so it's not like I necessarily had any siblings or family that necessarily wanted to do what I'm doing right now, or anyone to inspire me. But I will say that that's one of the big pros of social media, and why I think it's so powerful, that never before in our time could we have people to look up to right in the palms of our hands, when a lot of people, their only voices that they heard or any knowledge that they got was just from the block that they grew up on, or their cousins or their uncles. But now information is so democratized and accessible to where literally anything you want to know, it's information overload, right? And that's the problem with a lot of young people nowadays, especially, is that there's just too much information and too many shiny objects and too many distractions and too much noise. So definitely a double-edged sword there. But I think that's a big pro of social media, where never before could we just literally learn anything and have a wealth of knowledge in any topic or area. And then the other thing I want to touch on, going off of the tenacity and all that, and how you're saying you weren't necessarily religious. Mm-hmm. Myself personally, I'm not religious at all. I'm not spiritual even. But if you want to believe the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus, I'm not gonna get in the way of that. I can't tell anyone what to believe. But I will say that I have dabbled in the philosophy and teachings of Stoicism. So I think that's definitely an area which may not be for everyone, but could allow people to cope. Everyone copes differently with the things that they're dealing with and their current situation, the circumstances. But I think Stoicism overall is a pretty good philosophy, and just looking at any outside forces or anything that could be happening to you right now, and just really blocking it off and just stay tunnel visioned. So that's just something that I look into and have dabbled in.
Another component of our hindered success is not only from the external, obviously with the history of colonialism and all of that, but also I guess the way we view ourselves. There has recently been a diluted or distorted view of how we view ourselves. A lot of our history is extremely obscured. All of the innovative things that we've done, all the great things that ancient Egyptians taught to Greeks and Romans, all of the great things that we've done here in the United States, the empires that we've had. I feel like a lot of it is diluted, and you cannot really talk about human history without talking about black history and the motherland and where everything started. And I feel like everyone else, every other group, they have that sense of identity. And I know some black people that they do know that they came from greatness before slavery, because 246 years hardly encompasses millions of years of our history, but they just don't have a name to associate it with. They know that we've done great things, but they just don't. They couldn't name a black king or a black ruler or a black inventor or anything like that. So it's just everything that we have, it just comes from, like, everything that we learn, it just comes from, like, resistance. But before we were in a position where we needed to resist, we were innovating things, you know? And I feel like we need to kind of get out of this, like, hood mindset. What I mean by that is, like, we're so distracted by social media, and you think you did, bit, you're not even a fart. Like, it's fun, but, you know, some people live that too much. And I feel like I said earlier, like, it's a time to play and it's a time to focus on reality. And a lot of people are going out being very materialistic, and instead of putting $300 into, like, Robinhood or some type of investment, or, you know, something like that, they're putting it into Jordans that we really don't need, you know? And then it's also funny how, like, people will call me an Uncle Tom for wanting to better myself and better my people and give my people the talk that nobody else wants to say because they're scared of getting canceled or called a racist. But it's like, I get called an Uncle Tom for that, but when you work paycheck to paycheck to make a white company rich, that's not, you know what I mean? And again, it shouldn't be about that, but I just believe that we should utilize our time better and focus on togetherness. I feel like a lot of black people, there's a lot of unhealthy competition, you know, showing off clothes or showing off jewelry or showing off cars and stuff like that. It's nothing wrong with healthy competition, but it's just like the utilization of it. It's very rooted in materialism. And
If anyone that looks like you has ever made it, then it's possible, you know. You could accomplish anything, as cliche as it may sound. But I just want to, definitely stress that. And if anyone that's ever looked anything like you has done something that you want to achieve, has reached levels that you want to get to, then it certainly is possible.
100%. And, you know, that's actually another thing. Like, the people that we see that are famous and black on TV, they're typically known for, like, rapping or athletics. So that's typically like the structural foundation that, you know, is set for a lot of black children when they're growing up. They want to be like the next LeBron or the next, you know, rapper or whatever. I believe that we need more black people that are known in business and, you know, black doctors. I feel like we need more role models like that. And yeah, like you said, like, when, like, children are very impressionable. If they see white people that are going out and wearing a suit and tie and doing stuff with money, they're not necessarily going to aspire to be like that because they don't look like them. A lot of people, when they're kids, they're going to gravitate towards people who have something in common with them. So if they see people with white skin wearing a suit and tie doing business stuff, they're going to probably be like, I'm good off that. But if people are growing up seeing people on TV that have the same hair as them and the same skin, and they're wearing a basketball jersey, you start to see that culture, you know, precipitating that desire. So I personally believe that that's why the mass majority tends to gravitate towards what's common, you know. But then you have people like me that veer off from that and just say, like, you know, I'm good, that's good for them, you know. So as a population, it's hard for us to really grow. You might have individuals who might make it out of the mud, so to speak, but as a population, it's why on average we're not associated with, you know, some of the good stereotypes or characteristics, as like Asians being extremely proficient in mathematics or design, or Jewish people being extremely proficient with money. Like, we're not associated with these good stereotypes because, you know, on a massive level, you know, there just tends to be, it's like not, I guess for lack of a better term, it's not the way to go, I would say. I believe that we need to, and not to reiterate things, but utilizing our time wisely. Like, you have this device on your phone that all of us are on 24/7. Information is everywhere. And I believe that if people were looking up how to be smart with their money, and, you know, to be honest, I have been seeing lately some black people that are going out and learning about real estate and finances. So I can't say, you know, that there hasn't been any progression, but I feel like we should incorporate that more. You know?
And to piggyback, this goes for anyone, you know, not just any particular race. Statistically speaking, I don't want to deter any of you or crush anyone's dreams. That's definitely not what I want to do on this channel. But statistically speaking, if you want to put the odds in your favor, the odds of you becoming the next LeBron James or the next Jay-Z are pretty slim. You're just looking at professional sports in general, only a very small percentage go from high school to college, and then a very small fraction of that go on to the major leagues. So you have a much better chance, and the odds are much more in your favor if you do pursue something in business, or even if it's just you are working a 9 to 5 but then investing that money, you're putting the odds statistically much in your favor, to aspire to a higher level than if you were just trying to pursue becoming a rapper or baller. Not that it's impossible. I don't want to tell anyone it's not. I'm just saying that right off the bat, the odds are much more in your favor. And like he was saying, with how much information is so democratized right now, you are definitely seeing a movement. Especially I'm seeing it, among Gen Zers, and I can't even imagine the next generation, Gen A, Gen Alpha, which is like 13 and under right now. I mean, they're going to be going absolutely bonkers with, what they have coming up with in regards to whether it's technology or finance.
So what you were saying before, you made a great point about how slim the chances are to be like the next LeBron or something like that. So that reminded me, so you have people that have, I guess, I don't want to say unrealistic expectations, but you have people that reach for like the tippy top. And then you have another problem where there's like no aspiration at all. And that, in my opinion, represents a lot of the black community that does have a financial deficit, because you have people that are in the black community that dream ever since they're kids to do this. And then when they start to realize that those chances are slim, they rest on their laurels and stay complacent for the rest of their life. So they start to realize, okay, maybe I can't be the next LeBron. They start off heavy. They start off in athletics. They start off playing basketball every day or football or lacrosse. And then there starts to be a decline. And then the problem is they start to look at the children to fulfill what they could have done but faltered. And now you have this cycle that repeats where now the next generation is going to have that imagination state until they're like 26 and then just give up and then say, well, I'm going to raise my kids to do that and maybe they'll be the next LeBron. And then it just continues that way.
I do have to interject in there because that's a very good point, not just for the black community but any person for that matter, where, you just see it so often where parents, or before they were parents, they had these dreams and aspirations, but unfortunately their dreams died once they had kids. And they kind of just, threw in the towel and called it a day and said, all right, I'm a parent now, whatever. Let me just make sure my kids are better off than I was, but let me just give up on everything that I ever hoped and aspired to do. And that's a cycle that, unfortunately, you just see it too often, and it's very, very unfortunate. Not that, I'm recommending anyone to never have kids, obviously, but I will say that statistically speaking, if you just look at the numbers, people that do have kids earlier on, there are people that definitely made it. People like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett did have kids pretty early, Charlie Munger, but if you look at the numbers, people that do have kids earlier on definitely have a harder chance with growing their finances and making it to another level. So I'm just putting that out there, that you might want to think about having kids a little bit later on, maybe work on yourself, work on your dreams, because once you do have kids and you have a family to look out for, it becomes much harder. And also, it's much harder to take risk, right? Because now you're not just answering to yourself, but you're answering to your wife or a spouse, whoever, as well as your kids, or how many kids that you have.
Yeah, the kids call the shots at that point.
So, when you're taking risks, now you're thinking of, well, what if I fail? Now my significant other is going to look at me like a failure. What are my kids going to think? And you have those voices in your head that are definitely inhibiting you and preventing you from doing anything great. Much harder to take risk, a lot tighter money, right? So now that we're young right now, we have more flexibility with our money. We don't necessarily have to put it towards feeding a child or anything like that. So that's obviously an edge and advantage of starting young. and just a lot more societal pressure as you do get older. As you start to reach your 30s and 40s and higher, you start to really look down on yourself and think, wow, I really accomplished nothing, and I'm a loser, and whatever, that's it. All right, my life was a failure. But 30 and 40 is still very, very, very young, and still more than enough time to accomplish a lot of great things. But I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like so whenever you are somebody who is growing up and you're looking at all this information out there and people being successful, I've started to notice that there's been a decline of people looking at somebody else doing something great and people thinking that they can resonate with it. For some reason, there's just been this decline where, I don't know, in the black community specifically, because I can't speak on every community, but there, like I said before, there are just so many distractions. There's the materialism, there's the hip hop stuff, there's just paying attention to baby stuff. And I believe that we need to break the cycle somewhere down the line. Like, I can affect how my future family is going to be, but I can't affect the way that black people are going to be. A lot of people associate the way I am with Uncle Tom stuff. And then other people, they're they admire me and they're happy for me. You're always going to see that dichotomy with black people, just because black people are just so diverse. With black people, what we need to do is pretty much the same advice that I would give everybody else. Work hard, study, try to focus. If you have a short attention span, I don't know, try to look up ways to hone in. Go into whatever interests you, and just try to have good qualities. A lot of people just kind of stay at home and smoke all day and just rot away. Like, they go to a 9 to 5, then go home, get high, and then go to sleep or play games or something like that. And it's just like, our existence as black people, it went from great people to like now it's just passive. It's just passive now. And I believe there's so much work that we have to still continue to do. And it doesn't just, we can't look at things like, oh, the next person will do it, or that guy over there, he's smart, he'll make us look good, or the kids will make us look good. We have to affect our image, all of us. We all have to have an impact on how the world looks at us. And I believe, I don't believe I'm any better than the next black person, I believe that everybody has something that they can contribute, but I just haven't necessarily seen those aspirations for greatness. I've seen a lot of complacency, but I'm still hopeful. And I also do know a lot of black people that are doing very, very well. And, we just need to hit the youth with that, revelation. I feel like it's really the young people mostly, And I feel like this is something that I've seen with, like, it's starting to be this trend of, like, white young kids now, too, that are getting over-invested in, like, that type of lifestyle. And I just believe that we need to emphasize the importance of education now.
And on the flip side, what I would say that I see a lot in the white community, again, not to make it strictly about race, but just so people understand, you may think a family or household is doing well, but internally that may not be the case, right? So what we see a lot in the white community, they've got a decent house, they've got the car, their kids go to a nice school, the wife may be happy, but at the same time it's like, well, how many hours are they working a week? How often do they get to see their kids? Do they have an emergency fund, if anything were to happen? If they stop working today, if anything were to go wrong, the money's going to stop coming in. What kind of impact could they make? What are their interests? What are their hobbies? And a lot of that is missing, so they might think they're doing well, they're keeping up with the Joneses, they have a nicer car than the next house next to them, but, Are they really pursuing what they wanted to in life? Are they really fulfilled?
That's a great point. So like what I was talking about earlier with the various types of intelligences. So kinesiology and a sense of like having a semblance of your body mechanics and how healthy you are. Intrapersonal intelligence, your intelligence with knowing how to listen to your body, your emotional, your physical, your spiritual health. This tends to be very neglected. Like, and another thing I said, like with the Asian, yo doctor yet, like that thing, like you're sacrificing your sanity and your peace and your health for financial gain. This is actually something that I see with a lot of white people. Like, I like, I have a restaurant, and people come there, and I have conversations with the customers sometimes, and you know they're millionaires. Like like we have millionaires that come in all the time, but they're not happy. They could complain for hours if you let them. You know, they got a big old belly that they're trying to get rid of. They got heart problems. They take like 8 pills a day, and there's nothing necessarily, like, I'm not bashing them for that, but I feel like you should bash yourself and you should try to find that balance, because money is good and we all need money, but you know, you have some people that really sacrifice their health mentally, spiritually, emotionally, just to get an extra buck. And that's in a way comparable to some black people that focus on materialism at the cost of their living state. Like, they're not trying to learn how to monopolize or anything like that. They're not learning about stocks or real estate, but they're worried about getting the next Jordan, so they're neglecting a lot of other areas, and maybe they're not even eating the right way they should. I was vegan for 2 months. I try to make sure that I'm getting all of my vitamins. I eat meat now, you know, for the vitamin B12. I'm trying to make sure I get my omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins A through E. I'm making sure that I'm sentient and cognitive of all that. I try to be as conscientious as possible with my health. And a lot of my money goes into my health, you know, like eating the right things. Like this morning I had a freaking bag of Doritos, but you know, that's every now and then. Some people eat that every day, or they go to McDonald's. You know, I'm good off of all that. I might have some moments where I dip into like the unhealthy stuff, but overall I'm a very happy person and I'm very productive throughout the day. I'm always making money. Even right now I'm on the clock. You know, I'm always making money when you see me. And just like black Americans are sacrificing other areas, like utilizing their time to learn about money or finances, you know, or not spending so much money on making sure my chain real, you know, it's 1,000. You know how much I can invest with the 1,000, you know? I would be buying Apple stock immediately if somebody just gifted me that. I wouldn't be going to, you know, the jewelry store. Like, I'll wear a $5 freaking fake gold Temu chain. I don't care about that type of stuff, you know? It's just, if it's just for the aesthetic, rather than just to say, yeah, my chain real, what you got on? You know, I don't care about that stuff. It's just about the efficiency of your money, not the aesthetic. I wouldn't mind if I had a lot of money and I buy like Versace or something like that, just every now and then. It's not really my personal thing, but like, you know, if I was a millionaire, it probably wouldn't even hurt me at all, so it wouldn't matter, right? But the same way that a lot of black people are at a deficit because they're worrying about stuff like this, I tend to see a similar thing with white people. But it's kind of different, but it's kind of the same, where materialism and money are distracting them from their health. And you have black people that have like type 2 diabetes, you know, the growing up on Kool-Aid, and then they have the heart issues because of all the sodium from like oodles and noodles. You know, if you black, I know you grew up on that, putting it in the pot. If you crunched it up when you were younger, you're weird. Don't talk to me. But you know, we had the Kool-Aid growing up, and it was never raspberry. It was always the blue flavor, and you know, it was never oh, did I say raspberry? I meant it was never blueberry. It was always the blue one. If it was, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like we just need to take care of ourselves before anything else.
And I mean, there's plenty of billionaires that cannot roll out of bed and are extremely unhealthy, and they would give every single solitary penny that they have back to get back their youth and health. But it's just not something you could buy back, you know, no matter how much money you could have.
And not to cut you off, but you notice how that does kind of like they spend all their life sacrificing their health to get to these millions of dollars, and then it ends up going right back in the opposite direction because all these hospital bills and everything that they have. So it's like for naught, you know what I mean? So it does end up coming back on them eventually anyways. So I just feel like you need to balance both. You can't be the healthiest guy in the world that can run a mile, but you're broke and you can't pay your rent. And you can't be freaking, being unable to roll out of bed, but you can buy like 8 cars or the chains. You know what I mean? It's like everyone needs to find a balance.
And I think we'll start wrapping it up, but I will say that a lot of white families especially are house poor, right? So you might see people with a nice house, but there's no money left over really at the end of the month for anything else, because they just put it all into their house or a car or whatever. So you can't always look at something at face value. You have to understand that it could be just for aesthetic reasons and that they may actually be doing well. So I think that's a good way to finish it up. But yeah, any final thoughts that you might have?
Yeah, I would say after hearing this conversation, we're a lot similar in terms of our communities, a lot more similar than I thought, I guess, prior to this conversation. Definitely opened my eyes up about a lot. And I believe that all of us as humans, we intrinsically struggle with the same things on a fundamental level. And they just all, I guess, manifest differently depending on your culture, your circumstances growing up, if you were privileged or not. But at the end of the day, a lot of humans tend to focus on this, and it takes really special, unique human beings that say, hey, I need to focus on efficiency. I don't need to have the biggest, strongest muscles, but if I know my organs are good and I wake up happy and healthy, that's all I care about. I don't need the biggest house with the nicest chain and the nicest Jordans if I know I'm happy with myself. So just do whatever makes you happy. You don't got to be Mr. Richie Rich. You don't got to be, you don't have to have the biggest chain on your neck. As long as you're happy, do whatever makes you happy. If you're an anime fan, if you like horror stuff, whatever you like, do what makes you happy, and learn a little bit about money because it'll take you far.
Love it, love it, love it, for sure. Well, folks, that was episode number 3 of Scary Money, where horror meets finance. Not particularly in this episode. It was impromptu on the go episode, but we'll see you in the next one. With a new horror piece that we'll be working on. And if you guys have any of your thoughts and opinions, definitely drop them down below in the comments section. Curious to hear any of your thoughts in regards to this particular podcast. I'll link all of his stuff down below in the description, as well as the pinned comments. Check his stuff out. Great content on there. And with that being said, folks, hope you enjoyed this one. Scared money don't make money. We will see you in the next episode.
Drink purified water only, guys.
Today's sponsor, right. Make sure you like and subscribe with notifications turned on. That will notify you every time we do post a brand new video. Also, if you want to get some free stocks, down below in the description, use my Robinhood link. When you sign up there, you'll get some free stocks, some valued to thousands of dollars in some cases. Let us know the stocks you get. And also sign up with today's video sponsor, Aura. Stay protected and safe online. Down below, that's my affiliate link, free trial. And you'll be safe on the interwebs, away from the bad cyber security hombres. So with that being said, folks, we will see you in the next one. Take care for now.